Everyone, in this video, we are wrapping up the video series for modernizing the MyListing demos with a focus on the car demo first. Okay, so yes, this is the last video in this series and some exciting news at the end of this video. Okay, all right, so let's dive into everything that has changed. First up is the sign in registration page. I'm going to show you here when I'm not logged in, and that is right here. Okay, so nice big bold design. I turned the forgot password option into a button. Let's go ahead and look at the MyListing demo. Let me pull that up just to show the before and after, as we like to do. Okay, so there is the demo before. You see that forgot password kind of gets lost down there. Everything's kind of boring as far as the layout and design, but this is what we have now. Drastically different. There's the register tab. Here's the register tab. What we have here is a link to the privacy policy and a link to the terms. Those actually, let me refresh this page. Those actually get links, so it's easy to see. Okay, so that's another nice feature. And yeah, I think that's it for the login registration. So easy to see that it is more modern. Okay, moving on. Let's go to listing types would be next. And I adjusted the basic search form, which you can see right here on my screen. Drastically different even from what I had before. It was just the plain white box, basic search form box. And I took the time to make it transparent. And then I added what looks like tabs. So when you switch between the different listing types, it appears to be tabs. Okay, so we've got that drop down in there. Over time, that could also be made transparent, but I went ahead and just went with the default look there. Okay, and yeah, let's look at how it was before. Let me pull up the demo on this in this browser. Let's see the difference here. So this is what we were working with before. It's not terrible the way that it was, but I thought let's go an extra step. You know, I don't like these icons here, and I don't like how they do the lowercase words. But as far as like the search box goes, it's not terrible. But we modernized it big time. Okay. All right. So moving on. For the for sale listing type, I wanted to make special mention here. I removed the booking. So I used to have a book test drive, as you see here. I actually need to take that out. So we'll go ahead and do that together so you can kind of learn where that's done. And then I'll update the listing type after this video. So for sale, we're just trying to have a light starter site. This isn't trying to be a full-blown starter site. And I didn't want to keep taking the time to try to think of how to do this booking thing, because it typically produces a lot of questions anyway. So I'm going to take this out. Okay, there we go. So maybe I'll think of something in the future for, booking and stuff like that. If you look on Canvas, for example, we'll see how we did it there. And I could have done it this way too, but I just, just to keep things simple, because everyone's going to have different booking platforms, right? If we go to a listing and we go to, say here, you could click on the book consultation, and that's going to bring this up. So I could have reproduced this again. I just thought with this site, I'm just going to skip that because, like I said, a lot of people had questions like, well, what if they have different booking solutions? What if they don't want to use cal.com? And those are all valid points. So at that point, you basically just got a link to a booking system. So long term, I'm going to think about something for us that we can all use that's universal. Okay, but I just don't have anything right now. So long story short, I took that piece out of the listing type there. Policy pages. So if we go down into the footer, go into the privacy policy, terms and conditions, these are created with Termageddon. These are just pulling in the MyListing Club policies just so you can see how they work. You can get a discount for Termageddon, which is what I use for all sites and all client sites. You can get a discount through the club if you didn't already know that, but super simple to set up. Okay, so I wanted to show you that. those are ready to go. You would just come in and you would just punch in your embed code and you'd be good to go, unless you want to change the design further. Claim listing page was created because in the demo, the MyListing demo doesn't have that page. So I added the claim listing page and set that up. So that's ready to go. I created a how it works page. So under more and how it works, it's very similar to the Canvas how it works page, but I had to strip out everything that couldn't be done with Elementor Pro, or that was done with Elementor Pro. So again, we're just using the free version of Elementor here. Obviously, the design is different to match the branding of this site, but everything is nice and clean and works without any premium plugins. All right, that is ready to go. The mail subscribe form, that was, you see it here at the bottom. Okay, again, that's done with MailPoet, which is free, and it's what we use for newsletters and transactional emails and most pretty much every build that I do these days. And I showed that in a previous video how this was created. Okay, what's next? Navigation. In the primary nav, I did icons. So you see these right here. So in our drop-down menus. Another thing too is when these icons are not available by default. So MyListing for some reason hides these icons by default, and you have to do a little code snippet to enable those. So I've done that for you. By default, also for some reason, MyListing has different styling for the different drop-down menus. So you see how this has a rounded border and kind of like a border and a shadow. That same thing doesn't apply to the user menu, which is what I'm hovering on here. So I matched that up and made sure that they were identical. Okay, next up is the MyListing Dashboard. This is what I've been working on mostly since the last video. So if we go in here into each of these endpoints, these are all fully custom. So globally, I remove, so anywhere you saw that no results icon I keep talking about, I remove that, replace that with a custom image. So we can look at that here in a second, because I'll remove, I'm trying to think what's the easiest way. I'll remove the promotion so you can see what I'm talking about there. Menu background, this right here is styled. It's MyListing, it just uses, it's just white and it doesn't look that great. Let me actually just register for an account here. All right, so if we go here, and you'll see what I mean. It's just they use this light off-white background all throughout the site, which I don't like, because you shouldn't do that. It's way too opinionated. You should just have a white background. Give your customers a white background by default and let them make the decisions. So once you make that decision to change this to a white background all throughout the site, then everything just starts to run together. So it's unfortunate, but it's the way it is. So I had to change kind of the reverse. You see how I would have white here and light gray here? We do light gray here and white here, which is how you should design websites. Okay. Listing stats. What did I want to say here? Listing stats. So that's right here. These are the stat boxes. Those are just all set to our black color. You can go in and set those to whatever you want. So theme tools, listing stats, and right here, this top row right here is where you set those colors. Okay. So we use that dark color, that solid black across the top, and then we use solid black here for our views, and then like 50% lighter color here on unique views. So that's what gives us that chart right there. Okay, the analytics endpoint, which is where we are at right now. Card hover borders. So when you hover over any of these cards, you'll see they change the styling on the borders. They get a little brighter. Card hover, we did that. So, and also rounded corners, which you can see. So with MyListing, you just get, I don't have any listings, so we can't see them. Okay. But anyway, rounded edges, rounded borders. We also have modern icons. Before, how MyListing does it is they put this background color, like the circle behind the icons, and then the icons are white. I think this is a much cleaner look to do the inverse of that. So a white or transparent background with the color of the icon that matches your accent color, I think looks cleaner, more modern. Label font size is too small compared to list items. So I boosted them. Okay, so like here, if you compare this label or this label right here to what was here, and these list items or these list items, it didn't make sense because these labels here were bigger than the actual label for the entire box, which it's just, all of these are properly sized now. This is bigger, a little bigger than this. This is a little bigger than these list items. Button click icons, too big again. So these arrow icons were huge compared to everything else. So I made sure all of these icons were the appropriate size. Probably could be even smaller, but it is what it is. What else? Button click icons. Numbers too low font weight. Yeah. So these right here, these numbers, I boosted the font weight a little bit. They're too low by default. They're hard to read. So you want those to pop off the screen when you're showing stats to your listing owners. Visits, navigation items. Okay, so this is completely custom up here. You'll see this hover. Even the style on not inactive menu items look better. They're just hard to see with the way that MyListing does it by default. Okay, moving on to the listings endpoint. Again, we see the same rounded corners with the same hover animation. Card footer vertical alignment fix. By default, if you look at these on your website, if you have them, they were misaligned vertically where it says the label created and expires. These were like a little higher. They were just misaligned, but now they're fine. What else? Card footer alignment label. These right here are bolded, whereas with default with MyListing, they are not. So that's all looks like there's no emphasis placed on any of this text right here. What's next? Promotional modal icons. When we click on promote, so let's find one of these that's not promoted. So we click the promote icon. These icons are custom that match our accent color now. Okay, it's that. What else? The switch plan modal fix. Tell users about lessening text to fix across screen. Oh, yes. So when you click switch plan here, MyListing put this way too many words at the top here and it kind of broke the line. So I just switched the text just to say switch plan for and then this right here. So that's done in Loco Translate. It's just they used way too many words. Okay. Now, if your listing is super long, it still breaks correctly. It's just the words that they had prepended to this was just too many words. Okay, promotions endpoint. Under the promotions endpoint, again, we have the rounded corners with the hover animation styling, smaller icons, so it's not so obnoxious. These icons right here by default are huge, so I made them smaller, more realistic, cleaner. The meta, so that's this right here, where there's underlines, and this right here. By default, MyListing doesn't actually show you these as links. So I made sure to show that these are links and that when you hover over them, they change style. Button styling, background, float to left, and smaller width. By default, MyListing places this button the width of the box and centers it, and it just doesn't look great. So we now have everything off to the left. What's next? We go to the orders endpoint. These buttons are styled to match our accent color. If we click into one of those orders, this has all been styled up as well. Okay, with consistency and like the way that the fonts are, the typography, everything's been cleaned up in there. Let's go back to orders. Okay, I think that's everything. Oh, this icon again has been modernized to remove the background, kind of do that inverse again. Going over to bookmarks. Again, rounded corners. All the cards are identically styled. So rounded corners and then the hover. And that is about all that was needed for this. Let me go back to promotions and let me cancel all of these. And then you're going to see what I mean by that icon that says no results. Okay, for some reason I can't cancel that order. So let's go in the back end and let's go to WooCommerce orders. I'm just going to cancel all these orders. I think it's because it's processing. That's why I can't cancel it. That's interesting. I'm not sure why I can't cancel that. Let's go. So we have no orders. Let's go under users and paid user packages just to clear out everything here. That shouldn't affect promotions, but you never know. Okay, so let's troubleshoot this together. Let's go to WooCommerce. Let's go to status. Let's go to tools. Let's clear our WooCommerce transients. Let's clear expired transients. Let's clear customer sessions. And let's all right, let's go with that. Let's see if that gets it done. Nope. Let's clear our cache. Nope. Okay. Well, I'll have to come back to that and figure out why that's stuck in there. You know, another thing that we can do, we can go actually into that listing. So let's go to listing Audi 8. Let's see if we can do it this way. And that is the for rent. Okay, so let's go into the for rent and let's set it to featured. By in effect, we are forcing it to be non-promoted there. So let's go back. It's very strange. Anyway, I'll fix that offline, but I wanted to show you what it looks like when there's no results here. But you've seen that before in previous videos where I replaced that icon. So this is what it looks like. You're also seeing custom design here when there's no order. So all this has been customized. All right, let's go ahead and move on. For the cart. So let's go ahead and go to our, well, let's go to the shop page. We'll go to shop. Okay, so here is our cart. In the cart is a modern icon. So again, I did the inverse on the icons. Modern coupon mode. This has all been completely customized. Oops. Everything down, all the way down to these messages that you're seeing. Everything has been customized here. Things you don't even think of, like this button's customized, this one's customized. Because if you compare it to what's on your site, it's not going to look like this for sure. I turned this remove icon, I turned it into a more recognizable link that has a hover state. The proceed to cart checkout has a custom button that kind of matches what we're doing up here in the top right for our CTA. So all the styling is consistent. Okay, let's go ahead and proceed to checkout. Oh, let me show you in the WP code box. So if we go, and WP code box is included and licensed with these light starter sites. So if I go CSS, you'll see a custom CSS package that only applies to the cart page. So again, we're seeing that right here. Current post is cart, apply this code. That way we are keeping our sites lean and mean and only loading the code, in this case CSS, only on the cart page, only on the pages where it has to load. All right, let's go to the checkout. And again, completely modernized up here all the way, to this coupon entry, everything completely customized. These fields have been turned into more look like field input boxes, and alignment. I addressed the alignment. Everything is aligned. perfectly and looks great. Has a focus state when you click into it if it's empty. Okay. The place order button has, again, it looks consistent with everything that we're doing. Again, the remove icon now looks like more of a link with a hover state. The privacy policy looks more like a link with a hover state, same with terms and conditions link, and so on and so forth. Oh yeah, so with the styling here, so this box right here on the right is completely custom, dark background. Otherwise, with MyListing by default, you're just going to have 2 white boxes. Same here on the checkout page. This dark box on the right is completely custom. Okay, anything else? Anything else? Code snippet, open terms in a new tab. Okay. So the other thing too, I'll quickly point out is order received. This is only going to be in the starter site if you buy the starter site, because I didn't want to put this code snippet out there. It's just there's not enough to it, but you know what? Maybe I'll put that out there for free. It's just there's not a whole lot to it, but once you complete an order, there's a couple styling things that you need to do. I'll go ahead and put that out there after this video. It'll be a free CSS package. Okay. All right, moving on. Let me put this in my notes before I forget, actually. To do order received CSS package. And what was the other thing that I was going to do? Oh yeah, fix stuck promoted listing. Okay, moving on. Let's go to Sitemap. Let me go ahead and remove this item from my cart, and you'll know why when I'm here in a bit. All right, let's go down to Sitemap. So again, we don't have Elementor Pro at our disposal, so we don't have dynamic data. So I did what I could here. I created a sitemap page. I went into the sitemap page, edit it with Elementor to get that prepared for you guys if you want to make changes. I could have just done it with the block editor, but you'll see you can do whatever you want with this now. How this is done is I use the short code widget from Elementor. Okay, so then over here we go into SEOPress, which is my recommended SEO plugin. We have the free version, and we're going to go into the HTML sitemap settings. Okay, we go down to HTML in the general section here, and I enabled HTML sitemap. So for those that don't know, you have the XML sitemap, which is the sitemap that's used by search engines, and that's this one up here. The HTML sitemap is used for users of your website to navigate. Okay, so I enabled that. I went down to the HTML sitemap area and I grabbed this shortcode right here and I dropped it right here. Okay, now there's a bit more settings that I did. So in here, I set, they give you the option. It's actually, this was the one I grabbed. They give you the option to specify the post types that you want to put in there. So I chose, if you look at my shortcode, I chose to show posts and job listings. You can do whatever you want. You can add products in here if you want. So for example, if I put a comma in products, maybe it's just product. There we go. Then you see that the products are now showing. So you just put all of the custom post types that you want to show in there and they will show up. I'm not sure what is going on now. Let's go back and revert my changes. There we go. So I got my changes back. Okay. So that's that. And then furthermore, I changed the sort order to ascending and I ordered the post by post title. You guys can do whatever you want to do there. I disabled the publication date. So we're not going to show any dates, but you can do that if you want, obviously. And I disabled the hierarchy for posts because otherwise it's going to show like categories and all of those things. And I just wanted to keep it clean for the purposes of providing this site. Okay. Again, everything we're doing is free. Free. HTML sitemap. Cool. All right, guys. New and updated resources. Homepage template. This has been, this hero has been updated. obviously. The basic search form comes from CSS and listing types, but change this heading here. So yeah, so that whole template is done. The homepage CSS package has been updated. The basic search form has been updated. The CSS package that impacts that one, which is the homepage CSS package. The global CSS package has been updated. So that's where the colors are going to come from. The fluid typography comes from. WooCommerce messages, anything that has to appear globally across the site, that has been updated. The dashboard CSS, so that's anything that has to do with those in the MyListing dashboard, those endpoints, these sign and register, the analytics, the listings, the promotions, all of that stuff. That's where that is styled. So that's available. Everything's available. New also is listing types, buy and rent. Those are available on the club. Cart CSS, checkout CSS, all there. Okay, with that in mind, this is now officially now a starter site, and it is available. Everything's available. So if we go to the MyListing Club website, we go into resources, we go to light starter sites. The product page is completely ready to go. It walks through the differences. I'm going to do a video which will appear right here, and I'm going to walk through quickly what the differences between a light starter site and a full starter site are. If you followed along with this video series, you pretty much know the answer to that already, but I'll go ahead and cover that. Okay, so this has been completely updated to match exactly what a light starter site is. Also available is a light starter site kit. So that's all of the content, all of the listings, the products, all of that can be imported. The Elementor settings can be imported in one shot. All of the any Elementor templates that came from the starter site are available. Any CSS packages are available. Everything is available from this site. All right. Okay, so I'm going to do that in a separate video, but yeah, this is completely ready to go. There's nothing left to do to it. It is awesome, in my opinion. It's a lighter version, but which I will explain in another video. But super cool, super great way to launch fast compared to getting a demo that you may think you're saving time, but if you've watched this video series, you see how much work goes in it to make it actually look like a modern website. Okay, all right. Thank you guys for watching this series, and go out and grab the starter site, the light starter site.